This video is just some video I made years ago, back during my Sodor Fallout phase. I don't know why I'm publishing it. I guess I just want to get it out of my camera roll. Yet I still want some kind of archive of it. Uh, yeah, feel free to rib me to pieces in the comments.
Everything started when Thomas and Percy were finishing up their work for today. They were both in good moods as this client they could go back to their sheds on the branch line. But this would be the last normal thought they would have for a while. I got a call from my wife saying how the news was broadcasting a news report of a sickness that is spreading like wildfire. We were about to leave when we saw a sight that we would never forget. It was a group of over 10 people that looked very sick, and all of them had pale skin and blood-stained teeth. I told Bob to get the fire and Thomas going, and he also told Percy's crew. We sped out of the station and down the hill, and we did not stop until we reached the branch line sheds. At the sheds were Oliver, Toad, and Mavis. We were all happy to see them. Oliver and Toad were collecting stone, and Mavis was shunting the cars for them. But they then saw the zombies. They rushed out like we did. We all decided to get some rest, and some of the drivers kept watching for more zombies. The next morning, we went off to look for some more survivors. Thomas and Percy went to look at Natford Station, and when we got there, we witnessed a horrific sight. We recognized it was a red tender engine. They had no face, just a gaping hole, and we knew we had lost James. We did not know if it was a horde of zombies or possibly infected engine. Then we heard a whistle and bell. We recognized them as belonging to Gordon and Toby. We then saw the two engines approaching us. They were both happy to see us, and when we told them about James, they seemed to be in absolute shock and sadness. We then decided to keep looking for survivors. As we were looking for survivors, we ran into something horrific. It was an infected engine, an engine we recognized as Diesel 10. He had red eyes, sharp teeth, and was roaring like a beast from a horror film. The hungry engine lunged at Toby, but fortunately, Toby went onto a separate track, ditching the monster. We then ran for our lives, and as I looked back, I saw him stopped, so we took the opportunity to go faster. We then made our way to Tidmouth Sheds, where we witnessed a horrible sight. The sheds were crawling with zombies. We not only saw zombies, but we also saw Edward, Henry, Emily, and Duck, but they were all infected. We then decided to make a run for it, and we did not look back. It took a while for us to meet up with the other. We did find them, and they had found more survivors, and one even had an explanation as to what happened. The virus was an experiment that scientists at Weissenstam conducted as to see how the human body would react to a new chemical, and the subjects escaped and made their way to infect more people and engines. I asked how he knew this, and he said that he was one of the scientists that escaped, and he even said that infected engines can turn into beasts, and most of us panicked at that point, as this meant we were in serious danger. But then something happened that made all of us stop dead in our tracks. There was something standing up in a hill in the distance, but then it hit me. It was Diesel 10, and he had James' lifeless face, and at this point, already turned into a monster. Me and some survivors took out guns and we started to shoot, and that made it run away. This was when we decided to find more survivors and escape the island. This was also a possible opportunity to get the military involved. I went with Thomas, Toby, and Percy to find more survivors. We then got to a station near the sea, where we found Daisy and a small group of survivors finishing off a horde of zombies. Daisy told Thomas that she had been searching for survivors for the past 36 hours, and she then told us that she had found Annie and Clarabelle, as well as some extra coaches to hold more survivors. We then heard Toby's bell, and we looked to find Toby with some surviving engines and people. One of the people was Sir Topham Hatt. Percy then asked where his family was in a sad tone, but Topham said they were all right and that they were in the coaches. We then regrouped with the others at one of the big stations, where people set up camp and kept lookout for zombies. We asked Topham about reinforcements, and he said that since the experiment was so close to the mainland, they had to fight off other zombies. However, he did say we could go to the mainland to help, and possibly stay, and said that Sodor is too much of a wasteland to stay, and it would be too long and expensive to heal, so we need to evacuate and move somewhere else. A few hours later, two engines stormed in. The engines were Donald and Douglas. They both said that a massive horde of engines and zombies coming our way, and we would have to gear up. We soon geared up and went out with more than 100 survivors to go fight the zombie horde. We soon found the horde, and it was massive. We then charged at the horde and we started to slice up infected people. But engines were harder to kill. Duck was the first to be put out, and we blew him up using a bomb. And we soon took out most of the engines, except for one, Diesel 10. We had run out of bombs, so we charged at the monster with little resistance until we lit one of its legs on fire, and it soon reached the tank where it blew up in a massive explosion. We celebrated our victory and headed back to the station, where we regrouped and headed to the mainland. We then kept moving until we reached London. We work there to this day. Donald, Douglas, and Oliver were sent to Scotland, but the rest of us work in London. We all miss Sodor. Sodor is probably now overgrown with possibly a few zombies, but we all healed and got over the deaths of the people and engines. It's been over 40 years since then, and me and my wife live happily in London, and we hope this never happens again.
That may have been one of the worst fucking things I've ever created in my whole life.